The King of Pop has now claimed the top spot at the box office. Michael, the long-awaited biopic chronicling the life of Michael Jackson, opened this weekend at #1, pulling in an estimated $97 million domestically and $217 million globally in its debut weekend. Those are numbers that demand attention. Audiences are turning out in force for the film, which features Jafar Jackson, Michael's real-life nephew, stepping into the role of his uncle. The story traces Jackson's journey from his early days performing with the Jackson 5 all the way through his emergence as a solo superstar during his first major tour in the 80s.
10.
Well, there is absolutely no surprise here. Michael opened in theaters 2 days ago, and even though the critics have been dumping on this movie, the producers and the directors and scriptwriters and everyone spoke, and the audience listened.
Yes, I heard the news. Did the King of Pop refuse to flop and rise to the top to become the king of the box office this weekend? What's the latest on this story? Let's get into it. So let's break it down. Yes, Michael is the #1 movie in the box office this weekend. So what had happened was the Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, has surpassed all expectations and has scored the biggest global opening for a biopic ever. That's right, the Michael Jackson biopic Michael has a 97% audience score, and it has grossed a massive $217 million worldwide this weekend.
This past weekend became a full-on Michael Jackson celebration, and it's centered around one thing: the biopic simply titled Michael. And let me tell you, it delivered on every level. Directed by Antoine Fuqua, this film had a certain level of expectation attached to it before a single frame was even seen. Fuqua has built a reputation as one of the most reliable directors working today. If you followed his career, the Equalizer franchise being the most recent example, you already know that when his name is attached to a project, the quality is almost guaranteed. The same goes for Ryan Coogler and Jordan Peele. At this point, those names alone are enough to sell a ticket without even needing a trailer. And with Michael, Fuqua did not disappoint. From the very first scene to the final frame, the music was exactly what you'd hope for. But what stood out just as much was the storytelling, the way the film was shot, the emotional depth it reached, and the access it gave audiences into the life of someone most of the world thought they already knew. You walk out of that theater with a fuller, more human understanding of Michael Jackson. It's touching in ways that are hard to anticipate going in. Now, 17 years after his passing, and yes, it really has been 17 years, Michael Jackson just made history all over again. Let's talk numbers. Opening weekend, April 24th through the 27th, 2026, Michael debuted at #1 in the United States and worldwide. The film pulled in $97 million domestically and $217 million globally in a single opening weekend, not a holiday weekend, a regular weekend. To put that in perspective, tracking projections released just a month before the film opened had analysts expecting somewhere between $50 and $60 million domestically. The movie nearly doubled that estimate. The domestic number alone was stunning. The global number left the industry in disbelief. The film opened across 82 countries, reached #1 in 64 of them, and set music biopic records in 63 countries. That is not a movie performance. That is a cultural event on a global scale. Now let's put these numbers in proper historical context because they deserve it. When Straight Outta Compton came out in 2015, it was a phenomenon. Massive marketing push, enormous cultural momentum, packed theaters across the country. That film pulled in $60 million on opening weekend and held the record for the biggest opening in biopic history. Then, in 2022, the Elvis biopic arrived and opened to $31 million. Solid, but roughly half of what the NWA film had done 7 years earlier. Michael just eclipsed the entire domestic run of Straight Outta Compton in a single weekend, and he did it globally with $217 million in 3 days. Beyond the box office, this was also Lionsgate's biggest win in over a decade, their first massive hit since The Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 2 back in 2015. The studio genuinely needed this moment, and Michael Jackson delivered it for them. What makes the success even more remarkable is the road this film had to travel just to reach theaters. At one point during production, the entire third act had to be reshot due to a legal issue that made the original footage impossible to use. That kind of setback could derail a production entirely. And then, leading up to the release, critics were not kind. The film landed at 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, a score clearly designed to discourage audiences from showing up. None of it worked, because here's what those critics and those projections failed to account for. Michael Jackson is not just a celebrity. He is one of the most universally beloved entertainers in recorded history. The audience score told the real story, and people showed up in numbers that rewrote the record books. If you haven't seen it yet, make it a priority this week. See it on the biggest screen you can find. This is the kind of film that earns every dollar it makes, and then some. 217 million worldwide in one weekend. History made. Nobody's bigger than Michael, and this movie proves it all over again. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen Michael yet? And if so, what city or country did you watch it in?